And good evening, everyone, or good morning if you're listening on Wednesday morning. Welcome to the show. Adam Azer with Jamie Eisenberg and Heath Cummings recapping day 2 of free agency. And we just had some big news come across as the Lions have agreed to a deal with David Montgomery. I believe it is a 3-year deal with $11 million guaranteed. And we're going to break that down, plus the Dolphins running backs, the Eagles running back situation, a lot to discuss. Okay, let's get right to it. Heath Cummings, who's the biggest winner from day 2 of fantasy football fantasy football free agency? Technically, it's NFL free agency, but you know.
The biggest winner probably at this point has to be Daniel Jones.
Wow.
He got, and I mean, hopefully, he's got a real star talent pass catcher, and I've got a feeling they're going to add at least one more other guy. So we'll get a chance to finally see 2,000 passes into his career, whether Daniel Jones is good or not.
Can you stop bringing him up maybe just once? That was so predictable.
Well, like, who was the biggest winner if not Daniel Jones today?
Nah, I'm just joking around. I don't know. Rashaad Penny?
Waller?
Waller? Oh, not according to you guys. You guys didn't like it for Waller.
No, I like it for Waller.
Okay, I thought it was a little downgrade for him.
No.
I think I have Waller right where I had him when the Raiders didn't have a quarterback. So I bumped him up a little bit when Jimmy got the job, and then I bumped him back down a little bit when he went to the Giants.
Okay, Jamie, who's the biggest winner for you?
I like the Penny call. I think, if he stay healthy in Philly, that would be an amazing situation. But I'm going to say Samaje Perine's the biggest winner.
Samaje Perine, man. He had 4 games last year. Look at this. He had 9 carries in week 3. He scored 14 PPR points. He had 11 carries in week 11. He scored 30 points. He had 17 carries the next week. He scored 19 points. He had 21 carries the next week. He scored 21 points. That guy produced when he played. We don't know if how about this? Let's go back to the year before, 2021. 11 carries in 2 straight games, 18 points, 15 points in PPR. Every time this guy got some work, he came through. Pretty incredible, Samaje Perine.
And
go ahead.
No, he's not good, but he's just in a great spot right now.
Who has more carries this season, Samaje Perine or DeAndre Swift?
Or Rashaad Penny?
That's a great trio right there.
I'd take Penny third.
Jamie, who'd you say?
I would say Samaje. I would say if we want to look at it another way, another winner could be Kenneth Gainwell. The Eagles don't do anything else.
Well, they did re-sign Boston Scott, right?
Yes.
But you're right. I mean, the guy behind Rashaad Penny usually has an opportunity. I'm more on Penny. There will be more on Penny. I didn't mean to call him a moron there. A little bit later, because I can tell you, based on the advanced metrics, Rashaad Penny's been one of the best running backs in football when he's been on the field since he's come into the league. And I'll just tell you what the metrics say. It's pretty exciting stuff. I do have a question in the chat.
What do the games played say?
Yeah, not one of the best.
What's the best ability, Adam?
Avoidability, escapability, availability. Here's a question from Matthew in the chat. Adam, if both our teams win in the first round, can we get a fun Miami-Indiana bet? Well, sure. I'd love to. I will give you a bracket tip, everybody. Miami's really good, but they're probably going to be without one of their best players. So I would not pick them to go to the Sweet 16. They're a 5 seed. I will be in Albany. If anybody's going to be in Albany for Friday night, hit me up. I'll be there. And if they win, I'll be there on Sunday too. You need to fill out your bracket. Join our league, cbssports.com/FFT. If you win it, you're in the podcast league, cbssports.com/FFT. Join our bracket challenge. Why not? We got over 1,000 people in it. It's listeners, it's viewers, it's us, it's Stan Schneier, Dave Richard, Chris Towers as well. It's really fun. So join the bracket challenge. If you win, you're in the podcast league. We're also giving away a $100 gift card for Paramount Plus, I believe. And Dave wants to give away some spots in future listener mock drafts. So no reason not to be in our bracket challenge. And no reason not to listen to the Ion College Basketball podcast right now. Get yourself ready to fill out those brackets and check out one of the best podcasts around in any sport. All right, Jamie, give me a biggest loser. We said Daniel Jones and Samaje Perine were winners. Who's the biggest loser from free agency day 2?
I mean, it's DeAndre Swift by far. Poor guy. Like, at least with Jamal Williams, you kind of expected him to just have his role. And not that David Montgomery is a huge upgrade over Jamal Williams, but he's an upgrade over Jamal Williams. And so, I think with what, Montgomery should be able to do, I don't think he's just going to, be a guy plunging into the end zone. He does get the chance to fill that role. So, I think 17 touchdowns for Williams last year, 17 rushing touchdowns. Maybe that gives Montgomery a shot at double digits, but DeAndre Swift is not going to take the expected step that I think a lot of us would like to see, given the talent that he's shown at times when healthy during his career.
And I would expect on that same signing that by the official Adam Azer running back good metrics, that David Montgomery's about ready to have the best season of his career.
Why?
Because he's going to be behind a very good offensive line. And he's probably going to average 4.5 yards per carry.
Did you know that the Bears, again, I said this last week, and I don't take this as gospel by any means, but PFF had the Bears with the 5th best run blocking grade in football, and the Lions were 9th.
Yeah.
So, and when you see how much better Khalil Herbert did, just wonder, I mean, is there any scenario?
He's a big winner. God, I should have said him. Sorry.
Yeah, right now he is. But seriously, I mean, this is actually, I'm going to tease this because I want to talk about it after we take a break. So, but that's what I want to know. I mean, this is a great scenario for a running back to come in and be the lead running back in Detroit, which, as you hear Heath and Jamie speaking, you think that's what they're thinking is going to happen. We just can't see DeAndre Swift being a lead running back right now because of injuries. It's a great scenario, right? Great offensive line, blooming offense, all that. But at the same time, I mean, he just hasn't had an impressive career.
He's had okay. That part is true. No, wait, you wanted the break first. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I want your loser first, Heath. We'll come back to Montgomery.
I think I don't know that I have another good loser.
All right, that's fine.
The Jets. Heath, where you at with Garrett Wilson if Aaron Rodgers brings his entire crew?
This day has continually made me feel worse about Garrett Wilson, and it's been a good reminder because this Josh McDaniels thing with Jacoby Myers as well. Like I sometimes get too caught up in how good I think guys are, or how good we think guys are, and it matters so much how good Josh McDaniels thinks Jacoby Myers is compared to Hunter Renfrow. Or it matters so much how good Aaron Rodgers thinks Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb are compared to Garrett Wilson.
This just in, actually, coming across, the Jets are signing Bubba Franks. Who else? Who else is it going to be? All right.
Well, Donald Driver.
Oh, yeah, Donald Driver. That's right.
I saw, what is it? The NFL memes account. I forget what it is, but the parody account that they do. That he wants the Jets to trade for Jordan Love just to make him sit on the bench for another 2 years.
By the way, I saw a laugh from Schaefer on the Bubba Franks joke. I did not think that he would know Bubba Franks. You know Bubba Franks, Schaefer?
Yeah, come on, man. I'm 30 years old. I've been watching football since I was in 3rd grade. So,
which was when?
Know Bubba Franks.
Wait, like, what's the earliest?
3rd grade.
What's the earliest football?
That would have been right around 2000.
Yeah, I remember my first Super Bowl I actually watched through was the 2000 Ravens Giants.
Okay, great. Thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you guys beat the Vikings scored 0 points against you guys. So
I did. I remember that was you bring that one up all the time. All right, Schaefer, thank you. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll talk more about David Montgomery. I mean, it's fresh, hot off the presses, and I think a lot of room to debate here. And we'll see what the workload looks like as well.
Now you say hot off the presses. Schaefer doesn't know what that expression means.
That's true. Extra. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
Time to break the news. See?
All right, David Montgomery to the Detroit Lions. So right now, Khalil Herbert, a big winner. I'll ask you a question about him a little bit later. But, okay, let's give our overall thoughts before we start getting into rankings and whatnot. First of all, Montgomery right now, if we were doing a draft right now, you'd rank him ahead of Swift?
No.
Yes
and no. All right, Heath, you said no.
I might in non-PPR, right? I don't think he's gonna. I don't like the touchdown thing. The weird thing is, I think Montgomery and Swift are much more similar. Swift's better, but much more similar type backs than Williams and Swift. It was really easy. Williams did all the short yardage stuff. Swift took almost all the receiving game work. Williams wasn't very good in the passing game. The one place Montgomery was really good last year was in the passing game, efficiency-wise. He had a great year. And he's been a good pass-catching back for most of his career. So I think maybe Swift scores a few more touchdowns this year. Montgomery maybe catches a few more passes than Williams, but I still think Swift's explosiveness probably makes him the best.
Based on what Dan Campbell said about the expected plan for Swift last year, and then the expected plan for him this year, and then going out and signing David, like if they just brought Jamal Williams back, then I think you could have said, okay, this is a chance for DeAndre Swift if he stays healthy. Now he is in a contract year, so we just saw Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, two talented running backs that had, some concerns. Certainly in Barkley's case, some injury concerns, step forward and have a big role. But to go out when this running back class, by all accounts, is very deep, there are still some, complementary backs that are still available. They got a guy who's been a workhorse. And if you're looking at Dan Campbell, and you just said this, Heath, what we think of players versus what coaching staffs and general managers and front office think of players, I think they don't really think very highly of DeAndre Swift. It just sucks. It just really sucks. And so, in his chances to play, I think he will be more explosive and better than David Montgomery. Over the course of the season, though, I think Montgomery will be better. But given the opportunity, I'll tell you right now, if the Bears don't do anything significant at running back, Khalil Herbert will probably be my favorite running back in that division.
Wow. So that'd be, over Dalvin Cook if he's still in that division.
And Aaron Jones, yeah.
And Aaron Jones. Okay, so let's talk about, do you think Montgomery can give us more than what he has given us in his first 4 years, which has, you drafted him in a dynasty.
Not 2020. He's not going to be better than that.
Right. He was a top 10 running back. He had that big 6-game stretch to finish things. Do you think we can get the best, maybe should we talk about efficiency? Maybe the best on paper season for him?
Yes.
Should be.
Yeah, not counting stats by 2020, but if you're talking about best yards per carry or however you want to measure, I think he'll be his most efficient season.
Okay. What are you thinking right now for a round if we were drafting tonight? Let's draft. Jamie, get a draft.
We're going to do a draft next week. I'm going to guess round 5.
5 is what I thought.
And Swift?
Yeah. 4.
I think PPR are very similar. Non-PPR probably a round or 2 later.
Okay. That's the funny thing about Montgomery is he going to – that pass catching role has been, as you said, Heath, he's been very good there. So if he loses that, he's going to have to be more efficient, obviously, as a rusher.
I mean, and if it's more towards what Jamie was saying about Dan Campbell, it could just be that there's been a movement with some teams. They want to have 2 guys that you don't know if they're going to pass or run when they bring in the game. It could be that Montgomery's just the lead back and Swift's 35% of the snaps as the secondary back doing all those things.
There's the betting odds right now, assuming Rodgers leaves the Packers, have the Lions winning the division. And so if that happens, which I think a lot of people might still be surprised by it, but you look at the Vikings and their off season right now, they're losing a lot of guys, and clearly the Packers, a lot of people clearly understand that team's going to change dramatically, and the Bears, while looking like they're doing a lot, maybe the second best team in the division. The Lions have put together a very nice roster. They had great signings on day 2 with their secondary. And so if they view themselves as a playoff team, I'm going to guess they want to have DeAndre Swift healthy there. So that kind of speaks to where Dan Campbell, I think, is coming from, trying to make sure they get him to December, January, maybe February.
What did Mosley, was it an Achilles for Mosley or an ACL? ACL. So the Lions signed Emmanuel Mosley, and Mosley was the lockdown cornerback for the 49ers, and then he tore his ACL. They signed him to a 1-year deal today. It's going to be they will sign him. They agreed to it. 1-year deal worth $6 million. Earlier in free agency, I think it was on Monday, they agreed to a deal with Cam Sutton. So their pass defense was terrible. They've got out and gotten 2 cornerbacks right now, and Sutton got a 3-year deal with $21.5 million guaranteed. The Vikings, as Jamie mentioned, they did sign Marcus Davenport, an edge rusher, to a 1-year deal, but they've lost Dalvin Tomlinson. They've lost Patrick Peterson. They've lost Eric Kendricks. So yeah.
And Zadarius Smith wants out.
Okay. And I mean, if the Lions can shore up their secondary, that is a huge, huge deal. And they're taking steps, obviously, to do that. So
also, just like on the same note, Jamal Williams is the former Packer you were forgetting about that the Jets are going to bring in. They've got to run Brees Hall as well. And they are one of the 2 or 3 teams that was talking to him.
There's no way that would ruin Brees Hall, though, would it?
Oh, no. I can't imagine a super talented young running back being clearly better than Jamal Williams and watching him score double-digit touchdowns while they score 4.
The Vikings just help themselves.
Yeah, what they do?
They got Byron Murphy.
Oh, well, I hope so. You know, that's the Dolphins cornerback who said he can't run.
Not Byron Jones. Byron Murphy.
From the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Okay, that is good. That's a big
good
deal.
Replacement.
We'll see if the Cardinals are still good against number 1 receivers. All right.
I think the Cardinals are going to be good against anything or for anything.
Probably not. Back to. All right, I got some potentially rapid fire questions for you. We have not talked about the Dolphins yet. We have not talked about Rashaad Penny yet. We talked a little bit about Samaje Perine. So here we go. Yeah, go on.
So we did just get the numbers on Rashaad Penny.
What do we got?
Which does not make me think that the Eagles are not going to draft a running back still as well.
Yeah, it's a very small deal.
Yeah, how could it not be? So it was 1 year and what?
1 year, $1.35 million, $600,000 guaranteed. Max value with incentives of $2.1 million.
Okay, here are some potentially rapid fire questions. We'll see where these go. Rashaad Penny or a Dolphins running back?
Right now?
Yeah.
I would take a chance on Penny.
I'm going to go Mostert.
Interesting you're going Mostert over Wilson.
Yeah, they've got him 29 and 30, and Penny's 31. So
yeah, I would go Wilson over Mostert.
Wilson definitely had more work than Mostert in the games that they played together. So, Jamie, why are you saying Wilson over Mostert?
Exactly what you said. It just felt like once they made the trade to get him that he took over that lead role.
Heath, Mostert 1 spot ahead of Wilson?
I think we're not, like, first off, these guys are probably going to play 4 games together this year. So I think Mostert was already tired by the time Jeff Wilson got there.
Probably.
Oh, and the Bears got a running back already.
Who they get?
Travis Homer. My God.
Oh, hey now.
Let's go, Herbert. Let's go.
So I'll give you just some numbers real quick. There were 5 games that Mostert and Jeff Wilson played together last season. That did not include a couple of games where Jeff Wilson barely played. Remember the San Francisco game and then the week after against the Chargers? He was like a decoy. In those 5 games where they were both healthy, Mostert had 45 carries. Wilson had 66 carries. They both had 19 targets. Mostert caught 18 and Wilson 11. But 21 more carries for Wilson in those 5 games. Here's kind of fun stats. In the red zone, they both had 8 carries. In the green zone, they both had 3 carries. At the 1 yard line, they both had 1 carry. But Wilson ran more routes. He ran 93 routes. Mostert ran 61 routes. So more carries, more routes for Jeff Wilson in those games. And honestly, not bad production from the Dolphins running backs. They didn't run a lot, but they were pretty good. I mean, they were very fantasy relevant.
Yeah. Remind me, the 2 games you're not counting. Those weren't coming off of an injury for Jeff Wilson or anything like that.
Yes,
right?
they were. Yeah, Wilson got hurt in the Niners game, and I think he was questionable for the Chargers game the following week, as I recall. And he played like, I don't know, he had 2 carries or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, Mostert's going to be what, 32?
31.
Yeah,
31. He is 31 in April.
You want those Rashaad Penny stats? Here we go. Rashaad Penny. He's so good is how I titled it in the notes. Since he entered the league in 2018, there are 63 running backs with 300 or more carries. Rashaad Penny is number 1 in explosive run rate, number 1 in rush EPA, number 1 in yards per carry, number 8 in yards before contact per carry, number 3 in yards after contact per carry, number 10 in carries of 5 or more yards. It's pretty amazing. So I said this was going to be rapid fire. It absolutely is not. For as long as he's healthy, what do you think about Rashaad Penny, Jamie, on the Eagles?
I mean, it could be what we saw at the end of the 2021 season, when he was just an absolute superstar. But you're going to get missed time. I think just, again, to compare him to the Dolphins guys, if they don't go out and get somebody I totally agree with Heath. It seems as if they're going to go out and get somebody, and, drafting a running back on day 2 is the most likely situation. But if he ends up let's just say, oh yeah, we're comfortable with Penny, Gainwell, and Boston Scott, or let's say it's a late pick in the draft, a day 3 pick, or it's a Travis Homer type of guy that's out there still, Chase Edmonds, let's say. I think you got to feel pretty good about the upside of what Penny could be if he stays healthy. It's the biggest if of all, but it's just there's so much to love. This offensive line, this quarterback, this coach, this situation. I mean, he's certainly been more explosive when healthy than Miles Sanders, as you just illustrated. So, he's not going to catch a lot of passes, but I think he could score 11 touchdowns like Sanders did. He could have a 1,200-yard season, but that would require him staying on the field, and that just hasn't been his MO.
And I'm usually pretty don't say people are injury prone, but Penny has pretty much reached that Will Fuller range for me, where I don't think you can project him for more than 10 games. Maybe he'll be able to do it. I hope he can, but it's just been too many years.
Yeah, the carry, there are obviously not that many carries, but in terms of big plays per carry, I think he's really been the best in football for the last 6-game stretch in 2021 and the first 4 games of 2022.
Right. It's just not
so good. And Ken Walker, great explosive numbers. Rashaad Penny, a lot better than him. Penny, I mean, it blows your mind how good his numbers are. Okay.
He also could not make it to week 1. We just don't know. Remember last year when he got re-signed for the 1-year, $5 million, he had a hamstring issue in minicamp and struggled to stay healthy in training camp. It's just that's the unfortunate situation. If you have him in Dynasty, I think your window to sell is right now. Sell the hype.
Tonight.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that. I do see in the chat someone asked if Gainwell's worth holding 100%. Yes.
Look at you.
Gainwell, yeah.
Heath, welcome to the chat. Way to go, man.
I figured out where the chat was, Jamie.
Yeah, Heath was in the private chat for the last 2 years or however long we've been using Streamer.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Hit comments. All right. Assuming Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, does Alan Lazard hurt Garrett Wilson's fantasy value?
I don't think so. I think he hurts Elijah Moore's potential of maybe re-emerging. Lazard is a great run blocker, which, you don't really hear a lot about what wide receivers are good at, but, in some of the comments about where he could be useful to a team, it was, he's very good on the perimeter with his run blocking. Now, granted, we saw 100 targets for him last year. He didn't necessarily take advantage of that situation. Some of it was health related for him. Obviously the offense not necessarily being as pass happy as it was the 2 previous years under Matt LaFleur. But I think, this situation of Aaron Rodgers holding the Jets hostage right now and saying, you have to bring in Lazard, you have to bring in Randall Cobb, you have to bring in Mercedes Lewis. It's really, I think, about all of it impacting this Jets offense. And like Heath said, we see the talent of Garrett Wilson. We know what the upside can be. And the hope would be that Aaron Rodgers could still unlock it. But if all these people are coming there, it's like, that's his crew.
He may not even know who Garrett Wilson is. I've started to cool a little on the whole situation.
That's a shame. If the Jets sign Alan Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, and Randall Cobb, and then Aaron Rodgers retires, it would be so blank.
So Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Awesome.
I was going to say so Jets.
Awesome.
Awesome. As of right now, would you take Khalil Herbert over both Chicago running backs? I think we've already answered that.
Both Detroit running backs.
Yes, sorry, both Detroit. No, over Travis Homer and.
As of right now, I would not. But if it was August and their team looked like this, I would. I don't believe that the current team is the.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I phrased it that way too.
Yeah.
Which NFL offense looks ready to break out in 2023?
Better than they were a year ago.
Like a lot better.
A lot better.
Jets, right? Come on, Jets. They're getting Rodgers.
Yeah, I'd say the Jets. A lot better than they were a year ago.
Giants.
I mean, the Colts can't be much worse. I don't know if they're going to break out, but
Daniel Jones. Oh, sorry.
That's why I was smiling so big, because that's the only thing I could think of to say.
Okay. I don't have anything else for tonight. You guys have anything else?
Broncos could be much better.
Oh, yeah. They could have got those offensive linemen in. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's it, man.
Do you want to get Heat's take on Darren Waller, since we did a separate? You said you're going to talk about that earlier.
Oh, yeah. But he kind of did. I mean, you said he was. Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah, I think, again, that's another one where if the Giants go into the season with Wan'Dale Robinson, Isaiah Hodgins, and Sterling Shepard as their top 3 wide receivers, then I'll change my tune on this as well. And Darren Waller will probably be a top 5 tight end. I'll probably project him for 130 targets. But I think they're probably going to add somebody else. And I think he might get a bigger share of the pie than he did last year, at least with the Raiders, but it's a smaller pie in terms of pass attempts, I would expect. And I just don't know that I'm not quite ready to buy into Daniel Jones, the passer. I've got him up to QB 13 as a fantasy quarterback because of the running. But they add another pass catcher, I'm going to have to cut back on the rush attempts.
I'm telling you, I think that's going to happen.
I think that's a really bad thing for all involved if they run Daniel Jones less and have him throw more.
I don't agree with that. If he still is a 500+ yard rusher, that's fine. But it's much better, obviously, for Darren Waller if they run him less and have him throw more.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess my follow-up question to that is, what could they, aside from Hopkins, if they somehow trade for Hopkins, what could they do that would really impact Darren Waller's target share in a significant way at this point? First round receiver, Juju. I mean, I don't even know. You know what I mean? There's not much out there.
It depends, because like if you look at Brian Dable's history, tight ends not really been a big part of the offense. I'm projecting a big change to that because they don't have hardly any wide receivers. But like there's a dozen wide receivers who would be a big upgrade on their current receiving core.
So I didn't think that his history with tight ends either, but Dan Schneier.
Yeah, it's a good tweet.
He was a tight ends coach for the Patriots. Yes.
Yeah.
He did bring Dawson Knox along, made him fantasy relevant.
He threw it to him 70 times that year.
Yeah, I know, but Dawson Knox is not Darren Waller. You know.
No. Right.
And then you've got Mike Kafka.
I think if you had Adam Thielen and you had Juju.
He's not the play caller. Mike Kafka is the play caller.
Just like Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy.
Andy Reid was the play caller. Mike Kafka is the play caller, and he worked with Travis Kelce, which was the point that.
I don't think he did. He was the quarterback's coach on that team. I don't think he probably worked with Travis Kelce very much.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they probably had some meetings.
He coached him up.
That'd be a lunch or two. All right. Well, good night, everyone. We've got Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets at some point tomorrow. Otherwise, why did they sign Lazard? It has to happen at this point.
They said that was separate, which I don't think is. I mean, remember, Nathaniel Hackett's still there too. So.
Yeah, I felt like a pretty big deal for him. But
if they signed Cobb already, it would be like, okay, that's pretty obvious.
Right, well, when it happens, you'll have a podcast. We'll tell you everything. We still have Miles Sanders. We still have Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, Damian Harris out there. We still have some big names and probably some trades. You know, we didn't think Darren Waller was getting traded. We will talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today. Thanks again for staying up with us. If you are doing so, good night. Talk to you tomorrow.